Hello everybody! Goodbye Q here! Milk Squad. With Forget-Me-Not. Ooh! Another game for the, Renderwing Jam. Ooh. This is fucking fancy! Ooh, Cuba! And Seychelles. Okay, just repeat. So, I know nothing about this game, except I guess there's a yonder in Canada in it. Let's fucking find out. Let's go! I'm excited. Let's do this. Well, that was sudden. Hello? It's hard to believe, even now, that all that really happened. Did he drink the soda? I ain't got no more soda. I'm sorry. Well, I'm gonna figure out where he's gone and finish what I started. I better get a move on. Ito. Ominous. Oh, I can move now. Matt's house. Foyer. Hello? Nothing? Nada? Zip zilch? Hello? Spooky music! Ooh. Hello? Nah? Okay. That's a giant-ass bed. This is a giant-ass house. Hello? Don't you go outside right now. Okay. This is a storage room. It's locked from the inside, though. I could probably get through from the kitchen. Okay, I'm in here again. The kitchen's probably this way. And I can't get in the kitchen. Maybe it locked too. That's the bathroom. I don't really have to go, though. Okay, and I went in there already. Duh, downstairs. I should check up here first. Oh. What am I looking for? Unless I missed something. And door's locked. Of course Maddie would have locked all the doors before I left the house. Well, let's see. I'll probably have to find the keys for every other room, too, so I should be on the lookout for keys. That's the bathroom. Oh, I already... Well, you might have hit a key in there. You never know. Touchy, touchy, touchy. Touchy everything! Looks like something beneath the loose floorboard. I should try and get it out. Key? Yeah! Looks like a key. I want to fill open the library. Awesome. Yeah. Whoever chose the soundtrack's really good. Does me a startle every time. Now I should be able to open the door. Awesome! I should probably save after this. Is that... It is! It's my old journal! Man, I remember writing in this for what seemed like hours on end. It's like one safe place, just me and the blank pages. What's it doing here? I wonder what kind of condition this is in, after all this. Yoink. Some of the pages are missing. Oh well, I guess I have a few minutes. I'll go look for them real fast. Let me see which ones I'm missing. First... 8th of May, 1945. Hey, Journal! It's Alfred again! Guess what? The Axis finally surrenders. This nightmare war is over. I'm glad. But I feel like I'm missing something. 12th of May, 1945. As it turns out, the thing we've been missing this whole time has been my brother. I feel awful, but I apologize and he seems to forgive me, which is great! Though, something about him seemed a bit off. When I hugged him, his grip seemed a bit tight. Oh well, maybe he's just lonely. 24th of May, 1945. Something's wrong. I've been talking to Maddie again to make up for lost time, and he seems to be acting odd. His eyes tend to shift back and forth whenever he talks to one of us. Also, this might sound crazy, but when I saw England talking to his neighbor earlier, I swear Maddie almost looked jealous. And is it just me, or does he seem to sort of hang on people's arms when he talks to them? Almost like a child holding on to a favorite toy to keep other children from playing with it. I'm probably reading far too into this. After all, this is Maddie we're talking about. He wouldn't do that. Oh boy. 3rd of June, 1945. No, I was wrong. I was wrong the whole time. Maddie is... well, I don't know what happened, but this is not the Maddie I used to know. Something happened to him. He's been injured. Not physically, no. There's no scars, no blood, no scratches. But mentally, something inside his mind broke. They say the mind is a fragile thing. Like glass, it can be shattered easily with the right amount of pressure. I think whatever pressure Maddie got under, his mind couldn't handle it. It shattered, and from the broken pieces came this. I don't know when it happened or why, though I have my theories. All I know is that this is a completely different Maddie, and frankly, I'm scared. So, we have the pages up until that point, huh? Better than I thought, honestly. Right. Let's see what we can do about this. So apparently, war made Maddie go crazy. I guess. Okay. Clicky, clicky. Clicky, clicky. Nah. Alright. Out we go. Hello? No, those 4 parts I should take for a key. Aha! Got it! Awesome. Alright, now I can get into the kitchen. Awesome. Hello? Oh. Broken. Whatever. Maddie's pie! Now is not the time for Maddie's pie jokes. What am I kidding? It's always the time for Maddie's pie jokes. Hello?! I need to find the key for the storage room, too. Oh. What's this way? Oh. What? I should look around the kitchen before going in here. Oh. Well, I'm clicking on everything. Unless I need to look at it from another angle. Hello? No? I've looked at everything. I did! What am I missing? Unless I need to get into the storage room first. Yep. Like, I thought I saw 3. 1. Might be this way. Is it this one? Yay! Storage room, away I go! Hello? Nah. Oh, it's this entry! Right after we first found out about all this. England and France and I think we were here. We were making dinner together, getting along surprisingly well, and Maddie said, you know, it's nice doing things like this together, all 3 of us. Yes, rather is pleasant, isn't it? Alfred, please don't eat the cherry tomatoes, we need those. But I like them! I'm glad you're eating vegetables, but wait until dinner's ready. Where's the alcohol? French, better not make one of those dishes where you light it on fire, are you? Of course I am. Why else would I need the alcohol? To drink? Don't ruin our cooking utensils with your bloody fire food! Well, technically it's Maddie's stuff. I don't mind, really. I remember him being really quiet that day. I mean, he was always quiet, but I remember England and France started arguing and he just laughed. France, put the alcohol back. No, I need it. You frog-faced skit, can't you cook something that doesn't involve being a pyromaniac? I am not a pyromaniac. This is how you flambe your dish. Arr, grabble, rabble. Hey, Maddie, aren't you gonna stop him? I don't know. Should I? They seem to be having fun. And they have so few opportunities to have fun, don't they? What? Hey, Maddie, they could hurt each other. We should really stop them. I don't know. They're adults, right? Besides, I need to talk to you about something. This concerned me some. I've been noticing some strange behavior from him for a while, and it was hard to approach him for a long time. I had a feeling that was what he was talking about. Okay, what is it? You've been avoiding me, dear brother. I don't appreciate being avoided. What? No, I haven't. Don't lie to me, Alfred F. Jones. That's not very nice. Maddie, what's with you today? Monsieur... Brr, that came out French. Matthew, alright. You look a bit worse for wear. Oh, I'll be just fine. Monsieur, this behavior of yours is... How about your behavior? How is it okay to completely ignore and forget a family member? Answer me that! Riddle me that, frog fucker! I'm sort of proud of you for that insult, but excuse the fucking you. Ignoring... Matthew, are you talking about World War II? Look, we're terribly sorry about that. We are all under a lot of stress, and I wasn't aware stress could sever the bond of blood of the womb. What? No, that's not what happened. Okay, I'll admit we didn't treat you like we did. We were wrong, but no buts. I don't want to hear your excuses. Matthew, what are you planning to do with... I've heard enough. We'll settle this my way. And in the end, you will love me. I like that. I like that detail for the hearts. Yeah, that really hurt. I knew he was strong like I was, but I could never really fully believe he could or would do that. And then I remember I woke up and he was herding us into a cage. And then I wrote this journal afterwards. 13th of June, 1945. How ironic that I am writing this entry on the 13th, the day of the number of bad luck. We certainly had our fair share of bad luck today. I finally figured out what Maddie is. There's a word for him. It's a Japanese word that I remember being taught once upon a time. I don't remember how or why, but this word seems to fit Maddie perfectly. It's yandere. I knew it! Fucking yandere! Broken, a bit obsessive, violent even, hurting others for the sake of an insane brand of love. These are all things Maddie has become. The same Maddie who once insisted that he'd like to win his independence passively with no violence. It's the same Maddie who just locked all three of us in a cell while brandishing a knife. France, England, and I. The closest thing Maddie has to a family. All three of us are now trapped in a dark, dirty cell. I can't help but wonder what's going to happen to us. I hope we'll be safe. I remember all of this like it was only yesterday. We've definitely been through a lot. What the hell happened? Well, let's see if I can find anything that might help me here while I'm at it. Well, goodness. What about this? No. Can anything help me in here? How about this? No? No fish, no tater tots. Nothing really. Hello? Hooray, I can leave now. Sweet, another floorboard. Picked up another key. Why the heck are the freaking keys buried under the floorboards anyway? Dinner for one. Yes. Save. What this? What that? I don't know. Let's go. We can probably go upstairs now. Or downstairs. I never want to go down there again, but there could be something. Yikes! It's still just like I remember it down here. I don't think I can last down here for too long. I'd better be quick, whatever might be down here quick. Or I might be sick. Oh boy. Torture chamber. Huh? Paper. Oh. This is another journal. Oh, I remember this. 28th of June, 1945. I wonder why no one's come to look for us. For us yet. We've been missing for quite a while. Though, maybe it really hasn't been that long. But it sure feels like it's been a long time, though. The food we get isn't safe, but we have no choice. There's nothing else to eat. I've seen Maddie preparing food before. He puts small amount of poison in it. No wonder I feel so weak. Sometimes when he walks past our cell, I can hear himself muttering things under his breath. Insane things. Possessive things. Terrifying things. I can't help to feel like it's our fault he became like this. If I think about it, I can still taste the poison in the back of my throat. It's a miracle we survived this, to be honest. Yeah, how did you guys fucking get out? I have to get out of here. Too many memories. This is taking too long. Every second I spend here is another second Maddie has to possibly capture more nations. I just realized I don't actually know who he's managed to capture. I know England and France are free. Sort of. He watches them like a hawk, though. I know he has Cuba and Seychelles. I remember the day I went to go visit him, with an inkling on my mind. Something had felt very off for a while. I remember overhearing some of the girls say they hadn't seen Seychelles in a long time. So I suppose I don't really want to. I had no choice. When I got to Maddie's house, however, my suspicions were sadly confirmed. He'd done something I hoped he would never go far enough to do. He took me downstairs and showing an unnerving sight. The cell that previously held the rest of his family, including me. Now had Cuba and Seychelles sitting inside. I simply stared in horror for a second before remembering my cover. I asked him if he kidnapped them. His reply unnerved me more than it probably should have. I don't know. I don't like the term kidnapped. I prefer to the term taken indefinitely on a forced trip. See? Doesn't that sound nicer? Maddie went upstairs, humming a cheerful tune. I went over to the cell that helped the unwilling guest. Cuba at first tried to ignore me. But seeing as how I was obviously more mentally sound than Matthew, one of the few people he could trust, he opened up to me, if only slightly. The only thing I can go from speaking to Cuba was Maddie was using some sort of sleeping medicine, hiding it in food and drink that he gave to people, and dragging their unconscious bodies all the way to his house, somehow never being caught. After that, I just wrapped his arms around his knees and lay down on his head, muttering things about dreams. So I went over to Seychelles, who immediately began crying silently when she saw me. She began talking so fast I barely caught anything she said, other than the fact that she was scared and confused. I tried to comfort her as best I could, but before I knew it, Maddie was coming down the stairs and I had to apologize and walk away before I ruined my cover, and possibly got her in trouble as well. Letting go of her hand that day was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I hope everyone's okay. Goodness. I hope everyone's okay. Okay, so I had to re-download the entire game to have this glitch fixed. But I'm gonna save so I don't have to fucking do that again. Because that was a long time. Okay, upstairs we go. I should check Maddie's room next. Oh. Well. Okay. Hello? This is my room. Doubt there's anything in there, but wouldn't hurt to check. A key! Yas. Hello. Yeah, nothing, too out of the ordinary in here. Okay. They really did really go with their music selection. Piano. Doodly doop. Ah, more hallways. This is... I don't know. Key! Maybe. Maybe I just can't get it yet. But I have to remember that's there. Ah. Okay. Whoa. There's a whole stack of journal entries here. Let's see. 1st of July, 1945. Birthday! It's Maddie's birthday. Spent an entire morning down here trying to get us to see happy birthday with him. Needless to say, no one was really in the mood. Seemed to pout a little before saying he was going off to get himself a birthday present. I remember how excited I'd been to celebrate his birthday with him. Once I remembered him again. Now everything's changed. My brother has become an object of fear, terrorizing us on a daily basis and forcing us to ingest trace amounts of poison so we won't have the energy to escape. The worst part is, he's not shown this sign to anyone else that I know of. Which means we're all alone with no means of help. We'll have to help ourselves if we ever want to escape this cell. I have an idea. In 3 days, I'll put it into effect. 4th of July, 1945. It worked. We're free. For now. Since it was my birthday, Maddie told me that I could have some cake. He laughed a bit and told that he'd gotten chocolate, my favorite. He almost looked like Maddie again when he laughed. When I left to go get it, I told England and France my plan. They were reluctant at first, but with a little persuasion, they agreed to play along. France found an old dagger of his stuffed in his coat pocket and gave it to me, after making me promise not to actually hurt them. I agreed. When Maddie came back with the cake he was going to give me, it had probably been poisoned too. France and England flew into hysterics, insisting that I was terrifying them and they demanded I be removed. Maddie gave me an oddly cold and calculating look before asking me what I'd done. I don't remember exactly what I said or did. Most of the day had been a blur of craziness. I probably waved France's dagger around for a bit for effect. But in the end, I managed to convince him that I was like him. Broken. Crazy. Cold. A yandere, like him. Maddie seemed delighted, which surprised me. He said that it was a lot of work to do on his own, but he was grateful to have some help. Then he opened the cage and let me out, before setting some ground rules. He said that he didn't really mind the other nations having a relationship amongst themselves, as long as they all loved him the most. I said nothing, not wanting to ruin the progress I just made. He also said while he tolerated relationships among nations, no human deserves to have them. He held up his knife, almost as if inspecting it in the light, and said, "If they touch them, they have to be removed. You understand, don't you?" A cold chill went down my spine, but I just nodded mutely. Maddie then looked at England with a twisted smile. It said in a voice as thick as honey, "I wouldn't look for your neighbor, by the way. She's taking a permanent vacation." England stared in shock and horror for a minute, before burying his face in his hand. England used to be very close to his neighbors. Maddie watched him for a moment, before England started to cry, then turned to me with a frown and sigh. He said, looking down at his knife. "He's upset. I don't like when my loves are upset." I was finding it extremely hard not to make any comments, as that would ruin my cover, so I just nodded and sighed as well, as if also disturbed by England's tears. I was, but not in the same way. Next, Maddie informed me that Yvonne was in on this too. That surprised me, to say the least. I always knew he was cold and broken too, but seeing the way he reacted to Belarus when she had flown into one of her love tangents, I would have thought he'd avoided Maddie like the plague. That's not the case, apparently, because what Maddie said next was that he and Yvonne had agreed to divide up the world. Maddie explained it as such. If Yvonne gets one half of the world to become one with him, and I get the other, then if we also become one with each other, then we'll have the whole world. Isn't it amazing, Alfred? He looked at me with such a crazy look in his eyes that I almost jumped, mutely, and forcing myself to stay my ground. I nodded. He smiled and closed his eyes for a second, as if composing himself. When he opened them again, he almost looked the way he did when we were young. Friendly, cheerful, kind Maddie, who would never hurt a fly. Of course, I knew better. I knew what my version of my brother was dead. Then, when he turned back to England, who was still crying, he turned to England, his back turned to us, preserving what dignity he had left, and France, who was watching this whole thing with a look of utter terror on his face, and pointed the knife at them, making France flinch. "Hey, you two," he said, his voice laced with warning. "You two will be good, right? You won't go spreading anything you've seen or heard today, or any time you were here, to anyone else, will you?" Sensing an opening, France shook his head violently and nudged England slightly to get him to do the same. Weakly, England shook his head a few times, not turning to face us. Maddie smiled and tucked his knife in his pocket, before unlocking the cell again. "Okay," he chirped in a voice that almost sounded innocent. "You're free to go then. I love you!" France scampered out of the cell, dragging England along with him. The two of them ran up the stairs and out of the door faster than I think I've ever seen them run in my life. I was about to follow them out, before I felt a hand on my shoulder. "Not so fast, Alfred," Maddie muttered quietly, his dangerous tone returning, with eyes returning dull, almost like a doll's eyes. "You and I have work to do." 1st of March, 1950. It's so hard to play along with this, acting like every new number added to the body count brings me a swift and twisted form of joy. Acting like the stench of people soon to be forgotten doesn't turn my stomach. Acting like I share in Matthew's new obsession. Acting like I don't want my old brother back. It's torture, and there's nothing I can do about it except sit and let it happen. But I don't want it to happen. I wish everything could go back to the way it was, when I wasn't afraid of looking my own brother in the eyes. How many people, how many humans, have died by my hand? Not directly, but in being a bystander, I've let harm come to them. How many souls am I now responsible for? I never wanted it to be this way. 18th of May, 1950. Kiku, I'm so sorry. I screwed up. It's been an eternity since I felt it safe enough to talk to any nations outside the three of us that know Maddie's secret. I think it's been about 5 days, 5 years since the day, 5 days since the day I was let out. Maybe a little less. Either way, I decided a chance to visit to someone I haven't talked to in a while. Kiku Honda, the nation of Japan. I went to visit him, since the war was over and I wanted to know more about him. He's very mysterious. Anyway, talking to him was nice, until he asked where I'd been for a while. I tried to find a way of explaining it without mentioning Maddie, but he seemed to be able to see through my excuses. Eventually, I had to tell him. He said he wanted to see it for himself, but what was I supposed to say? I agreed only for a minute. We snuck into Maddie's house and I showed Kiku the basement. It was nerve-wracking. Being down there again, just a mere glance at the cage made my skin crawl. I mentioned to Kiku we probably should leave, that Maddie had a strange and disturbing habit of popping up when you didn't want him there. He looked up at me, seemingly concerned, though I couldn't tell if that was because of what I'd said, or what he'd seen. He began to say that I was right, we should go. When I felt an ominous presence behind me. I jumped, startled, and whipped around, finding myself staring deep into the dull, doll-like purple eyes of my brother. "Well, what's Kiku doing down here?" he said, in a quiet voice dripping with poison, He'd thrown away the innocent act, probably realizing that Kiku had already figured him out, so there was no sense in putting on the innocent little Maddie act. Kiku's eyes were wide, like maybe he wasn't expecting Maddie to appear seemingly out of nowhere. I took a step forward, creating a sort of wall between him and Maddie. "Maddie, I can explain," I started. He just put his hand up to quiet me, a sinister smile decorating his face. "No need. I understand completely." He pushed me aside and crossed his arms, staring at Kiku. "You know too much. I can't have you spreading around what you've seen. You understand, right?" Maddie reached into his pocket and pulled out a knife. Kiku's eyes went wide, and fear shot through me. "Maddie, think about what you're doing! Is this really worth it?" I said, putting a hand on his shoulder. He just shrugged it off and began advancing on Kiku. Kiku grabbed for his katana, realized he hadn't brought it with him, and slowly began to back up to try to escape. "You know this has to be done," Maddie said, raising the knife. Kiku's back hit the wall, and I ran forward to try to grab Maddie's arm before he stabbed him. But the blow never came. Instead, Maddie flipped the knife into the air, caught it with the blade carefully, as to not injure himself, and held the knife out to Kiku, who only stared. "You know too much. So you work for me now, Kiku Honda." I just about fainted on the spot. Japan was going to be okay. He seemed shaken as well, but just barely managed to clap his hands around the knife. "What do you mean?" he asked quietly, looking into Maddie's eyes. "I mean, since you know anyway, you seem capable. You work for me, and live here too. Just do what I tell you, and you'll be fine." Kiku was still half stunned, I suppose, only nodded mutely. Maddie smiled with a look that, if I didn't know any better, I'd chalk up as approval. "Just be a good minion, and do what I say. Don't spread things to others, and don't blow my cover. That's all you have to do. Easy, right?" he said, tilting his head, with a smile as sharp as the knife Kiku held. "Hi," Kiku said, bowing his head in defeat. "I will do whatever you say." "Excellent." Kiku glanced at me, and Maddie turned on his heel to walk out, and I felt a sudden rush of guilt. If I hadn't told him about this, he would still be free. I didn't have much time to think about this, though, because Maddie got to the door, spun on his heel, smiled before holding his hand out. "Come on, you two. We have work to do." Yeah, I remember that. Poor Kiku. "Japan! Holy shit! Japan should still be here! I knew he had a room here!" Japan's room should be somewhere on the second floor. I have to find him. Whew. So this might be longer than I thought. This episode's already long enough. Whoops. So I'll chalk it up to next time. So have a good day, everybody. Bye.